October the 6th, I'll be 72 years old.
Randolph White retired from his job at the paper mill in Georgetown 10 years ago. He lives in this house with his wife in a very rural area of Williamsburg County.
Well, it's nice and quiet and peaceful, and I don't have to worry about people that, close up tight. I like space.
He loves living about 2 miles away from where he grew up. Normally it's pretty quiet, but on Sunday afternoon,
I was in the bathroom taking a shave, and I heard a screeching, between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this? And I heard a boom. Then my whole house shook.
White says he didn't realize it was a plane at the time, so he didn't call anybody.
The first thought came to me, I said, what's a meteorite coming out of space or something? And I said, well, if the airplane, it needed to be reported, but the thing was flying just too low. So yesterday evening, I said, the helicopters, I was out there walking. Choppers keep flying around. I said, well, somebody must have robbed the bank, killed some people or whatever. I walked up there. They told me it was the plane.
Woo! I said, what in the world is this?
I don't care what you guys say. Black people are awesome.
See if you're muted.
That's great. What is that noise?
Oh, sorry, I'm releasing my bird.
See, I can think
of foul.
I can think they're awesome, and also realize the crime statistics.
These two things can exist in the same. These two things can exist in the same place. Yes.
Oh yeah, well nothing. It's the way the universe works. You can't have it all. You know what I mean? You're hilarious. And you can sing and dance real good, but not necessarily saving the world either. Just like us, we're amazing, perfect beings, but we're boring as shit. So you can't. Like I said, you can't have it all.
Oh. So what's new out there, gentlemen?
It's Monday. It's the beginning of a beautiful new week.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful. That's I don't know that that's the word I would use for it, but it's definitely something. We currently, so we got about 8 inches or so of snow yesterday.
Oh, and you're on par with us in Michigan.
Then we followed that up with about 2 inches of sleet and ice. And then sometime around 4 or 5 o'clock this morning, it started snowing again. So we've added another couple inches of snow on top of the ice, on top of the snow. So imagine my surprise when I walked outside and step on this nice powdery snow and then hit like a barrier and then go all the way down to my, halfway up my calf. That was fun.
Folks, Indiana is shut down today.
Yeah.
Don't go in Indiana.
Yeah, my wife's work. So here's the crazy thing: they closed. They're not running production today. None of the hourly people have to come in, but the salaried employees are still expected to show up. So
it's too dangerous for everybody that's hourly.
But
maybe that's just saying that they're too retarded to drive in.
But the counties are all under a state of emergency, so they can't give them they can't hold it against them if they don't show up. So everybody, she and everybody that she knows on the salary,
because they have insurance on the salaried people,
yeah, if you die, we get paid. If the hourlies die, we just have to hire new people.
Then we need to find somebody new to replace them.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of paperwork.
Yeah.
No.
They're trying to cut down the salary staff anyway. They just can't actually fire most of them. So that's why
they're just trying to eliminate some of them.
Right. We're trying to downsize the salary side, but none of y'all have done anything to warrant being fired. So we're just going to require you to come in the middle of a blizzard. And if you don't make it, it sucks. But,
let nature take its course.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny.
For the first time in over 3 years working there, my work shut down. They shut down early yesterday and then ran no night shift last night, and day shifts on a 4-hour delay this morning. I'll still end up having to go in tonight because there's no way they're going to be shut down for a full 24 straight hours. But It must be like really bad, which I know it is because we're far enough north that we mostly got just snow, and then like the ice that we got was sleet, and the sleet just built up a nice layer. But like 20 miles or so south of us, it's nothing but freezing rain. Like they didn't get any of the snow. They just straight got ice, and it's fucked everything up.
You're what, about an hour from your work?
Yeah. And my work is right in the middle of that ice belt.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. I'm going to find out. I mean, I got to take the kids back to their mom here in a little bit, and I'll find out how bad it really is whenever I head that way. We actually had a plow out, like plowed our road at about 5 o'clock this morning. You can't tell it now, but they knocked that initial layer off anyway.
We got hit Thursday Thursday and Friday, and a little bit Saturday, but we probably got about a foot total here. But we get more lake effect than anything. But in other news of snowy places, looks like Trudeau is stepping down from Prime Minister in Canada.
Oh shit! I'm actually gonna do it.
Yep, looks like he's stepping down.
What for?
Because they have a parliamentary system, and it's really weird, like super weird the way it's set up. They can call for an election at any point in time. There's no, I don't understand the parliamentary system that well.
It's the way the way theirs works is that they have.
Well, don't they also have ranked choice voting or some shit like that?
Yeah, that kind of system. But the actual parliament thing, they have the way it works is like if your party loses so much percentage and so much approval and stuff like that, you can call an election or whatever. I mean, it'd be like if we could just like, Joe Biden's approval rating's probably not that great. Like it even before the election, they probably, like, we could have called an election if we used the same system they did. But it's mostly based on like how they kind of get together in their, I guess, the backroom deal. Like, hey, we'll call an election and we'll do this. I don't know, weird stuff.
Wouldn't it be great if we could just all gather in the town square and shout shenanigans, and they'd have to, like, just get rid of whoever's in there? We're sick of this shenanigans! Shenanigans!
That would be fun.
Just phone them out. Yeah.
So he's stepping down as the Liberal Party leader. Does that mean he's leaving the prime minister position as well, or he's just
that says he's stepping down? That's all I know. I don't know what the exact role. I'm assuming the role means.
And if that's the case, like, do they just elect a party? So if he steps down, then then the Liberal Party picks somebody else to fill his spot as prime minister? Is that how that works?
No, I think they have to do new elections, but that is a possibility. I don't know. I don't know Canadian politics.
I thought it was similar to British, and I thought that's what happened when Boris Johnson stepped down. Was they just picked somebody else to take his spot?
We need a Canadian to explain this to us.
I know, and he's on the wrong side of the world.
Who's that?
Jason Moranchuk. Nobody.
Canadian Australian.
Yeah.
Ooh, we got
Australia, I think, has a similar parliamentary style of government as well, because like Canada, they take a lot of their political influence from England. They're all about the Queen and all that bullshit.
Motherland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy how an island like the size of Indiana had so much influence on the entire world for so long.
And now it's just
there was a time.
Yeah. Now it's basically a Middle Eastern dumping grounds.
It's basically an Indian colony.
Syrian. No, they're importing. No. Look, they're importing the refugees from Syria, not.
They've been importing refugees since like 2000. They've never stopped. Never stopped.
Oh,
I'm trying to read up on this real quick and see if I can.
What about Jason? I wonder if Marinchuk's up.
That's what I literally said. I said we needed him to explain all this stuff for us.
Oh, I thought you said a different name. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
He literally said Jason.
I was looking at some articles. Chill out, dude.
Worse than talking to my kids.
In other news, you see the Lions?
I was making grits, and I could even follow the conversation.
I was reading a story. I can only do one thing at a time.
I make cornbread.
I forget. Steve has the stroke brain.
They had ADD, man.
Yeah, it's the stroke brain.
Yes, I do a stroke brain.
His eye might have recovered, but the rest of him still a little slow to get there.
Yes.
Oh, they've had other key. So the deputy prime minister and finance minister resigned.
Step down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So they've had other big resignations within the party. It's apparently there's a lot of inter-party turmoil. That's interesting. See, now
they've been passing that hot potato for like the last few weeks. Like somebody would step up, be like, "No, I'm not dealing with this. I'm resigning." And the next one's like, "No, I'm not dealing with this. I'm resigning."
Now what we need is a good right-wing nationalist to take over Canada and then just offer Trump a sale. Be like, "All right, what are we talking? 4 billion, 8 billion? Well, you name your price. We'll do it." Did you see where
Greenland's trying to get
Greenland is trying to get independence from Denmark? Yep. I guess I don't know if Greenland is did you see where the Greenland president or prime minister or whatever was like, Greenland's not for sale, and somebody was like, yeah, well, you don't really have any say over that because you're owned by Denmark. So if Denmark decides you're for sale, you're for sale. Sorry, buddy. So I wonder if somebody pointed out, hey, like Denmark might be shopping your ass, and then Greenland's like, man, we need to get independence now so we don't get sold.
No, so apparently I read up on it though that they've been doing this for like the past 20 years, trying to get independence or something like that.
Oh no,
so, it's like they're just really pushing for it now. Like they're like, for real, like we got to be independent.
Don't sell us to the U.S., please.
They're like really, really annoying.
You know, it'd be hilarious if Trump found all the white countries and bought them and made them states and didn't make Puerto Rico states. That'd be great.
Yes,
like they get ratified before Puerto Rico.
They don't do Puerto Rico. They do everybody else, all the white states.
What? Let's see. Where else do we own? So we have Puerto Rico,
Guam,
Philippines, Guam. I forget.
Oh, there's Speaking of Guam, we got to play the famous video. Hold on, I got to find out.
Oh, what?
Oh, I was like, did he leave to go find the video?
No.
It was Dag. Yeah.
There we go. Hold on.
Pretty sure I've got it on speed dial. Oh fuck! I hit the wrong button.
No, I got it on speed dial.
Well, I have it on speed dial.
This is a island that at its widest level is 12 miles from shore to shore, and at its smallest level or smallest location, it's 7 miles between one shore and the other. Is that correct?
I don't have the exact dimensions, but to your point, sir, I think Guam is a small island.
Very small island, and about 24 miles, if I recall, long. So 24 miles long, about 7 miles wide at the least widest place on the island, and about 12 miles wide.
Just changing the numbers slightly. Just
on the
whatever
widest
number
part of the island. And
didn't he get voted out recently?
I don't know how many
so.
miles.
No, I'm pretty sure he won.
Do you happen to
I'm
know?
almost
I don't have that figure with me. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that
the best part.
The whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
What the hell?
We don't anticipate that. The
Forgot about this.
Guam population, I think, currently about 170.
Tip over.
We don't anticipate this.
I was about to be like, is he filibustering or is he actually that dumb?
No, he's that dumb. He's that dumb.
But the
Oh,
only people dumber than him are his constituents.
Is he Atlanta? Yeah, he's Georgia. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, he's probably Metro.
He's got Clyde voting for him.
Yeah, Clyde definitely votes for this guy.
All right,
He
so
wants-
this is what I
Clyde
thought.
wants to see Guam capsize.
This is what I
Time to
thought.
jump on, Jason.
I sent him a link, but I figured what would happen is he'll step down as the party leader, but stay as the prime minister. That's what I suspected, but I wasn't really sure exactly how that works. Yeah, but like he said, he can appoint a successor, but the person that would have been the obvious choice for successor already quit. So
hey, can they appoint the Nazi that they brought in?
There he is.
The Parliament. Can they just appoint him?
Hello.
Good morning. Nice to see
Special
you.
election and elect a Nazi.
No, remember when they brought the Nazi into Parliament?
Oh, the Ukrainian one.
Yeah. Yeah, could they just put him in office?
Technically, no. So how it works is that there's like a vice president, like a vice prime minister. Hi guys, by the way. Hello everyone.
Hey, welcome.
Hello to the one person watching. I was the one person. I'm not sure, but hi
There's
audience.
3. Oh no, there's 2. Never mind.
You came on and everybody left.
Shit. I have that effect on people. So it depends. So Christina Freeland, for example, was basically the vice prime minister, right, or whatever. She left. So he has appointed someone else who was actually also the new finance minister. And there's speculation that he might. I think the rumor mill is that he asked that guy to step up in case Trudeau vacates the office, but they kind of don't want to do that because the guy. I forget his name. He might want to run for leader of the party, yada yada yada. So technically, what's most likely going to happen is that Trudeau will officially step down as the head of the party, and then either they will have a snap leadership race or decision within the party. Like they can do that in technically 6 weeks or something like that, or he will remain prime minister until that point, or I mean, they could call a snap general election, like a snap federal election, but that gets really tricky. Like they could dissolve parliament and yada yada. See, here's the thing, though, right? So this is the big rumor mill that's going on. I still don't I don't fully believe that he's going to do it. We'll see, right? Wednesday is supposed to be the day. I'm still not 100% sold he'll do it. I think he might dissolve Parliament. He could prorogue Parliament and then keep Parliament basically on ice until October.
What was it that happened with France a couple years ago when Macron tried to step down and then more or less his handlers were like, no, you don't get to do that. And so then he didn't. And now they've dissolved their government a couple times and they've got all kinds of like France and
aren't they going to dissolve it again?
Yeah, they're getting ready to dissolve it again if they haven't already. They got some crazy shit going on too.
France is a bit trickier because they do by every time they form a new government. So like they do a national election, they form a new republic, right? So it's technically considered a republic number whatever they are on 52, where the fuck it is.
They take that French Revolution seriously, huh?
Yeah. So that's a whole different series of things. I'm not French politics is very confusing. European politics can get very confusing because of how they have multiple parties and all that kind of stuff. The big thing with Canada is that essentially the getting rid of a sitting prime minister, unless his party turns on him and does a vote of non-confidence, that kind of stuff, it's incredibly difficult. So We'll see. We'll see what happens this week. He might be getting outside pressure to go, which wouldn't surprise me. Maybe City of London crew and all that stuff are telling him to BTFO. I don't know, but here's the other thing too. He could step down. He could leave the prime minister. He could basically leave as a prime minister and then still be head of the party. His dad did that. He could run again.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like his dad was the third longest serving prime minister. I think it was 16 years, essentially, something like that, 16 or 18 years. But it wasn't
Consecutive.
Consecutive, thank you.
Wait, wasn't his dad Castro? I thought he died.
Well, his Canadian dad.
His dad on paper.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You threw me off when you said dad. I was like, wait, he was like president for life.
The
See,
Montreal.
I always thought he looked a lot more like Mick Jagger, which I think was much more of a plausible scenario, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but true.
Well, in typical fashion, didn't
Does he have the
Justin's,
moves like Jagger though? That's the question.
didn't Justin's wife catch COVID from
wins.
Idris Elba
What was
Who?
that?
back in 2020? The actor Idris Elba, when COVID was going around, didn't the rumors that Trudeau's wife was banging Idris Elba because that's where they got her COVID from?
Wouldn't surprise me. Those guys are screwy, man. That whole like we talk about like Hollywood Babylon. I think what goes on in political circles is way darker, but and that's all coming out. I just watched a video talking about who's that British producer, Britain's Got Talent.
Damn
What's
it.
his name?
He was on American Idol.
Right, American Art. Yeah, that's it.
What was his name?
Simon
Cowell.
Right.
Mm.
I just watched a video apparently where this guy bumbled his way into like a Simon Cowell after party thing, and it was at a strip club in like after an awards ceremony, and the guy was like, "This is kind of weird, but whatever. We're just going for drinks and yada yada." And he bumped into this guy, and the guy was like a studio exec, and he was like, "Wait, you're here?" And he's like, "Yeah, just And he's like, right." And he gets in there, and he finds, and there's like normal people and like a lot of big wigs in the British music industry and stuff like that, all milling about. And then he notices like a bunch of young kids, like 14-year-old boys and girls in very, very revealing clothing, and it's referred to as Cowell's Buffet.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like Diddy stuff then. We're in
Yeah.
stuff. Okay.
Yeah. I don't. Diddy is just one data point.
So is
I
there
think.
anybody that's not compromised?
I don't think so.
The only British celebrity that would have
Maybe
a buffet I
Keanu
would want to
Reeves.
go to would be what's his face, Gordon Ramsay.
I see. I wouldn't put it past him though, right?
Well, if it's literally a buffet for food.
Yeah. But I
chef.
mean, but I mean,
You forget about the
honestly,
pizza parlors. You forget about
Yeah.
the pizza. They were just going for pizza too. So
if you found out next week that Gordon Ramsay was into like kids, would it really surprise you? Would I mean, it would disgust you, as it
Yeah.
should. But it would. But I mean, would you be like shocked, or you'd be like, "Wow, another one, man! Geez, they're racking it up." Like, what's going on? Like, there was a stat out because now all this grooming gang stuff is just really. What's really disturbing, I find. I mean, the whole thing's disturbing, right? But people are being onboarded as if this is new news, and I was tracking this back in 2017 with like my original podcast. Like that's how
since
old this news is.
Since the original Tommy Robinson kind of documentation
Yeah.
of it.
Well, the
Yeah.
interesting
When
part
he
is
got
like they
booted
tried to get Michael Jackson on this stuff, and from everything I can see, I don't think Jackson was a part of that.
that famous answering machine message.
What was that one?
These Jews are trying to kill me.
Oh.
Well,
I
he also got in a lot of trouble for that song where he had some he dropped the K word and everything in the song, and they're like, "You can't release this."
I don't know
He's
what
like,
that
"Well, I just like
was.
I like kites and I have a speech impediment. What do you want?"
Yeah.
Like,
There's something about Jew me, screw me, all you something do to me, something. I don't know. You have to look it up. It's out there.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah, no, I just, especially when you see stuff like, when Trump was talking about him, how they went after him, and then the person that went after him was Kamala Harris. She was the person trying to prosecute him.
Hey, Jason, do you remember what's the Rotterdam stuff? Was that where they were covering up a bunch of stuff in England?
that's Rotherham. It's Rotherham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the town. That's like the major town where you're talking. They're talking numbers like the numbers are disgusting. I tried reading some of the court transcripts like I asked last week, and I couldn't. Like I got a daughter, right? So like
Yeah.
I got maybe like 10 minutes in, and I was like, okay, I got the gist. I'm good. We can just assume the rest now.
Yeah.
It's bad, man. And now, I mean, there's an Archbishop of Canterbury just had to resign. Our top-ranking guy within the Anglican Church just had to step down because of covering up massive child abuse. Like, there's something dark going on in Britain, like something really, really bad.
There's been dark stuff in Britain.
No, but like, because you hear that shit coming out of Britain, and you know when you hear about that stuff out of Germany, pre Mustache Man, and you hear about how bad that was, and it gives you like, whoo, okay, right? Gives you pause, and then you hear this stuff. I'm like, this is 10 times worse.
Yeah, it's like having the internet and being oversaturated and bombarded with all this stuff over the time desensitizes people to it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
People
Not me, but
people just don't want to deal with it. I don't blame them.
True.
Well, I mean, what can you do? Like, I mean, are we gonna like go like you like in a modern day? Would we ever really expect something like an American Revolution again? Like, no. That's those days are long gone. That's a historical period where you could do this kind of stuff. Like, you have a faraway government that can't have that much control over you. Like, even technically, like as a state here, being a part of the United States, I really don't see any, like, people have been joking about secession, or whatever, but I really don't think any state's ever going to be able to secede because of, like, even though they're a faraway government, like they still, like, they can send drones and just ass blast you any moment. Like,
yeah, it wouldn't even be that. I mean, let's say you did something legal, right? Like, Quebec is always threatening to separate. Same thing in Alberta occasionally. And the logistics of it, let's put all the logistics aside, like infrastructure, yada yada yada. The biggest problem is that outside of, like, let's say Quebec might be the only place that could do it because they've really honed in on having a separate French culture and etc. But I mean, let's say Texas, right? I mean, Texas has a Texas identity. Texans are Texan, fine, right? But they're also American. Like, there is no outside American, like, there's no pre-American culture for them, for Texas to go back to. You know what I'm saying? Like, people talk about the Balkans. I'm like, yeah, but the thing with the Balkans, like, let's say Yugoslavia. Well, Yugoslavia was a made-up state that combined all these countries together, and that was a disaster. When after the fall of Sovietism, they all kind of split up and had their civil wars. But it's like Serbia could go back to being Serbia. It had a history of Serbia, so it's not like they could just go back to being Serbian or Bosnian or Croatian or whatever. Like, what's Vermont going to do? like just become part of Canada, I guess. I don't know. There's no other identity but America for people to latch onto. So you just have a separate state that's just American. Yeah. But with, I don't know. I don't even know how that would work. Like, I don't know.
Don't tell Texans that.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
According to them, they are the Republic of Texas, and they are even now they are their own thing. But that's that's silly. But I mean, you're ultimately right. I mean, they wouldn't. follow through.
Yeah,
on
I mean,
their big talk, I'm sure.
Even though they have like the Texan identity, like that's still, and it's still incorporated into what is an American identity. I think. That's
Because I mean,
Jason
obviously they were the
'Cause-
Republic of Texas, but that was so
Yeah.
long ago, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when did they join? The 1830s and 1850s or something?
I mean, not really that long ago. You think of the Civil War and think like Robert E. Lee. At that time, like being from your state was more important than being an American.
Right, but I mean, living memory has a big thing to do with it. Like, okay, let's go back to the Balkans, right? So when the Yugoslavia was formed, by the time it was formed and the time it was disbanded, I mean, we're talking like I think it was like 60 years, something like that. I mean, Sovietism only lasted 75, so Yugoslavia was less than that, and so within living memory, you still have people who remember being, let's say, Serbian, right? Within within like 2 generations, there's no one alive who remembers Texas not being part of America, right? So that's forming your whole ethos, your phronema, your state of being, and how you orientate yourself. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I'm just simply saying it's like there's hurdles upon hurdles to deal with before you even conceptualize what that would be.
Yeah, and even if it, let's say it did happen and everything's peaceful or whatever, like it, like to your point, like it really would be a strange feeling because, like, of course, my whole life, then it's like, let's say Florida became, whatever the, Gulf of Mexico freedom zone or what the fuck ever, it seceded and became, its own thing. Like, even if all that was great, it'd still be so weird to be like, oh man, like you're not part of the, big warm blanket of
DeSantia.
the USA anymore.
That's what they're going to call it because DeSantis is going to name it after himself. He's going to call it DeSantia.
DeSantopoulos, yeah.
Well, Magoo has a good point. What can we do about it? What's right? 4 years ago, a few thousand people and a couple dozen fans asked himself that very question. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So it is the January 6th anniversary.
Oh wow!
Congratulations.
Supposedly, we're gonna certify the election again. Kamala's gonna put her rubber stamp on the fact that Trump beat her. Supposing everything goes well. And then, in a few days, we'll have Trump back in office.
I mean, that's why they made the big push that they had to have Mike Johnson as Speaker of the House, right? So that they could get the election certified. Like, that was... I'm not a big Mike Johnson fan. I don't know that there was a better option, but, like, to just let him... Yeah, I'm glad he at least didn't get it on the first pass.
Well, no, technically he did. So I think that there was like a thing where they were saying like they didn't expect him to make the votes, and then they actually counted the votes, and he won on the first try. So that's why, like, I think Thomas Massey even said like, yeah, he's not gonna we're gonna see he's not gonna win on the first try because somebody said like, oh, Mike Johnson's gonna win on the first try, and then Thomas Massey was like, he's not gonna win, and then he's like, oh well, I guess I was wrong.
I mean, at least hold the motherfucker's feet to the fire a little bit and make him sweat it out. And that's what they did with McCarthy was they made him go through a few rounds of voting and sweat it out and make some concessions of like, these are the things I'm going to do. And then when he didn't do them, then they recalled his ass. And that was when they put Mike Johnson in. I mean, they could have at least done the same thing with Mike Johnson, like held his fucking feet to the fire and been like, all right, these are some things that we want from you. And if you don't agree to these things, then we're not going to just let you have it. We'll keep this thing deadlocked or,
Unfortunately, I think Mike Johnson is going to be Paul Ryan 2.0 to 2017. That's exactly what I feel like.
Yes.
And that was a shit show.
Well, it seems to me like they're really worried about the Senate approvals to get Trump's team in. That seems to be the low-level scuttlebutt because his chief of staff, that lady, is that right? She put a moratorium on all their other social media accounts, basically saying like, don't I think the timing came right around Elon's whole Christmas Day surprise. So I think she put a muzzle up on a lot of people saying, "You shut the fuck up," right? Because we don't want to have any more problems getting anyone confirmed. So, so maybe they're just like, "Fuck it, yeah, Johnson, fine." Like we're just getting things done so they can get people in, and then deal with that shit afterwards. Who knows? I don't know.
That's probably a good read on it, Jason. Honestly, because they don't want any more like rocking the boat when you're already gonna have a combative administration. The only bad thing about it though, Jason, is if you don't have in our sort of system, if you don't have somebody who is a good speaker, then they're just going to do what Paul Ryan did. Then that's why I'm making the comparison. And they won Trump wins the election in 2016, comes in there. They have a House Speaker, Paul Ryan, and what he does is instead of like having a mandate and doing the things that he that Trump could do, pushing that forward, pushing his agenda, it was just like, well, backroom deals, all that kind of stuff. The typical sort of politics, especially American politics.
Yeah, I mean they're going to have to take on the blob, right?
Yeah.
That's I was thinking about this in terms of the whole everyone shitting on Elon and stuff like that, but he like, I don't want to get into like too much 5D chess, or whatever, but that whole dust up over the H-1Bs, whether he intended or not, it highlighted things and actually is going to push things forward faster. Like he's cutting through a whole bunch of. I think they're the big thing is they have to cut through the blob, and I don't know how they're going to do that, but it's going to have to get interesting. Like now his call out on everyone who was trying to keep immigrants who with sexual crimes in the country, right? And then they just listed all the names of all the Congress people who voted for it. And his big push is like, we have to vote them out of office, right? So like they're trying to put a lot of pressure on people. We'll see how that works, but I mean, it's working. It's working in England, right?
It's almost like all right, like I don't know, like you're you and your buddies are smuggling a carload of dope through the border, right? And you get through the first part of the checkpoint, like don't start celebrating yet, don't start talking shit, like let's get everybody in there, then go nuts online. Everybody be fucking cool. We're halfway through this shit. Everyone be fucking cool.
That's a strangely specific example. That's a very specific example, Dan.
Well, and speaking of working in England, it's
also something we can all relate to.
Like Elon has said some things and published an article in a German newspaper and done some other stuff that has pushed the envelope in other foreign politics as well. So like it can work. It just has to be handled and managed properly for it to work.
I do feel like he's doing a 5D chess move like globally, but I don't know if he's doing a specific one for the U.S. Because it is weird that he stirs up this stuff in the U.S. and then all of a sudden like this whole argument with U.S. politics, and then all of a sudden he pivots to British, German politics, and he's basically covering every other in the Western sphere. Like he's touching on,
and it's possible. It's possible with the H-1B stuff he touched something that he didn't mean to, and so that's why he pivoted to. Well, I mean, you even said it yourself, Jason. Whether he intended to or not, I'm wondering if maybe he didn't realize what he was touching on when he did it, and so he kind of pivoted to some other stuff, and because that fizzled out pretty quickly. I mean, it didn't. The H-1B stuff didn't run more than a couple days in the news cycle, which I mean, I guess that's about the extent of most things running in any news cycle these days. But it seemed like it went pretty quick. There wasn't a lot of talk of it after that initial big conversation was had there for the first couple of days.
Yeah, I just kind of follow results. So I'm fine with allowing that. He may not have expected it to be that fiery, but I just think the timing and everything else. Like again, he's sitting on X, which is a whole big data collection, so he knows exactly. He could he can do data model sets and go, hey, this is actually a hot pop. He'd say this is a topic we can hit on. And we'll hit on a Christmas Day at exactly. I watch him because of my time difference. He posts. I think he's changed a little bit. He posts exactly the same time as every morning at like, I think it's changed to 2 in the afternoon for me. It's 2 in the afternoon, so that'd be like 1 p.m. Eastern. 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But he was doing it between like 2 and 4, and always the same time. Like, there's a methodology to that. I don't think it's just him. Just like he just got up at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning, and this is his tweeting hour, right?
It's probably like
it's even him.
He scheduled some downtime, and he knows that during that downtime is when a lot of other people have downtime. So it's like it's a perfect way for him to, like, you know, people winding down their day in the afternoon.
This would be 4 a.m. in the morning. Right, yeah. It's 4 in the afternoon for
probably me. Getting ahead. Maybe that's getting ahead of the people who are gonna like wake up.
Yeah, you got to catch people for their morning poop.
That's exactly.
Scrolling. Yeah,
I'm just saying he's methodical. So I just think that the idea that he just goofed into it completely. I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me. I'm not saying it's not possible. Everything's possible. Just something about that makes me go, no. I don't like that. I think he's far more aware of this shit than not. But pick my nose.
It's all going to get real fun here in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah.
We've got to get through today, though. We can't have any more storming of the Capitol. Okay, we told that there was an election. Okay, and you know that decided something. So.
What's the over under that that they'll stage another something or other with the feds?
None, because it would only poorly reflect on Democrats, I think. So
I don't think they care.
No, they're all about the optics game. Like that's the whole point. Is like that's why they put Antifa away for a little bit. Honestly, I think that's why they shuffled them into a corner, because like, oh, Antifa's making us look really bad, you guys. So could we contain them into Oregon, into Portland, Oregon? Like, keep them in Portland, Oregon. Just keep them in Portland.
The left has bigger fish to fry. They got more important things on their mind right now. They're trying to put secession back on the map.
Yay!
So I didn't know this. The California secessionary movement started in 2015, but they're getting rejuvenated with.
I think it was from the opposite side,
though. So corporate breakups are in vogue, and a national one will soon join them. In spite of the local and financial support from tech billionaires for Donald Trump, he mustered less than 40% of the vote in California. And Gavin Newsom, the Democratic governor, has already called on the state legislature to safeguard California values and fundamental rights from the president-elect's second term. Such resistance looks destined to escalate into a secession movement in 2025. It'd be fun to see if California tries to. Aren't these all the same people that were anti-secession in 2020 when Biden won, and now they're back to being pro-secession? They can't make up their mind.
Didn't they all run away to England anyways?
Well, a bunch of them were fleeing to Canada, but now that there's a chance that Trump's going to buy Canada, they're trying to find other alternatives.
Can you imagine? Imagine if you're like, Canada, shit. Okay, no, we can't do that. Greenland, fuck. Okay, where else we can go?
Oh God, I saw an article from what was that chick's name? There's a pretty big journalist in England that wrote an article about how the British government has failed and it's time to just give up and let Trump buy Great Britain. Like, yeah, we just take over everything.
Why would you want to
talk about the American Empire?
Yeah, why would you want to buy that shithole? That'd be awful. I mean, look, guys. Like, I made some financial predictions that I think are bearing out quickly. The big news of the week, geopolitically wise, is that the thundering genius galaxy brains over in Europe had put together in 2022. They vowed to cut energy flowing from Russia through Ukraine into Europe. and they said they're going to stop that because Russia bad, and it took them 2 years to do it. But they finally let the motion die out this week. So now there will be no more formal Russian energy running into Europe at all, which will basically put a massive hampering on Hungary and Slovakia. Slovakia and Hungary, but mostly Slovakia, was sending a lot of their excess energy, electrical energy, over to Ukraine. And Slovakia has basically said, well, if you let this energy bill run out, we're not going to do that anymore. So basically, Ukraine's going to lose most of their energy. Also, Ukraine was getting a lot of their oil and gas because they were siphoning it off that pipeline. So they're about to be plunged into darkness and cold in the middle of winter while they're losing a war. And European gas prices and energy prices are skyrocketing. So,
Bummer.
Yeah, Trump might be able to buy Europe pennies on the dollar, literally, in about 3 months.
That'd be awesome.
It's pretty dire. It's crazy. It's like one of those things where
I know
the
euro to dollar comparison. Like if you look at the euro to the dollar, like the euro is just plummeting compared to the dollar.
Your dollar is collapsing. Here in Australia, they're all freaking out because the Australian dollar is trending down. We're now at 60 cents to the dollar, 62 cents, something like that, and it's trending even further. So if this keeps up, we'll be at 50 cents on the dollar. Which, for me, making money, like whatever I get, American money, like from the sales of the Shadow of Empire, everyone should go buy that on Gumroad. I get paid in American USD gets converted. So every week I'm just getting a little bit more. The sales are down, but I'm getting more money. It's like, this is lovely. I love this. Yay, good. Yay, financial horror shows. Fantastic.
Victory through attrition.
Right. As long as the American market stays okay, I'm fine. Yeah. It's Europe is cooked. It's so cooked.
All right, I got to go brave the blizzard and return my children to their mother. So wish me luck. Hopefully I don't die. I'm more concerned about the other people on the road than me. But see y'all Wednesday if I make it.
Okay.
Gentlemen, I should go as well. Thank you for inviting me over. Appreciate it. Unless you had any more Canadian questions for a expat
yeah. I mean, so worst case scenario, he stays in charge. Best case scenario, they have a new election. And if they have a new election, what's the scenario in that? Realistically?
It depends. So the election has to the election has to happen in October, right? It can happen technically any time before that. They do, I think, in typical fashion, they have to give, I think it's 6 weeks between the declaration of the election and the actual election. So I think it's 6 weeks. It's like a month and a half, something like that, at minimum, right? So if let's say he resigns on Wednesday, right? He steps down as party leader. So he steps down as party leader. So he's no longer the head of the hey cryptos. So he's no longer head of the Liberal Party. However, he's still prime minister until he gets voted out or until he leaves office. So that becomes a bit more tricky. So he can do both, right? But usually that means he has a successor who's going to take the place of both the leader of the party and the prime minister, right? The last time this really happened was Brian Mulroney back in the 1980s. He left, and that's when Canada had their first female prime minister, Kim Campbell.
How long did that last?
Remind me, Cryptos, it was like 2 months, 3 months before they had the general election.
I think it was like 3 months she was prime minister.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it can happen that he can leave completely. But usually that means there's a successor in plan. And again, the things I've heard is that his second in charge right now may not want to even do that because he might actually want to have a future in politics. So we shall see.
Christina Freeland stepped down. And so everybody has been pointing to Mark Carney, the
Right.
the head of the Canadian National Bank or Bank of Canada, kind of like basically the Fed chairman in Canada, as the potential front runner for the leadership if he wants. Basically, it's his if he wants it, more or less. But who knows? I don't know. It's there. This has happened to the Liberals in the past, where they got absolutely mismanaged things and got absolutely blasted in a federal election. I think they were down to under 5 seats at one point, and had to rebuild the party from scratch. And that was really where they turned to a front man like Justin Trudeau, who was the pretty face. And it turns out a fairly savvy political operator. Now, it's always hard to tell the degree to which he himself is running things, or he has some really, really good handlers who are exceptionally good at staying out of the limelight, which is very much a Canadian political kind of thing. Good Canadian politicians aren't seen, and that's kind of one of the flaws that Justin Trudeau had, is that he wanted to be noticed all the time. So that, and he wanted to be a leftist, which was never really cool for Canada. It's a surprising thing that a lot of people don't understand about Canadian politics. It's a kind of weird juxtaposition of the country on the whole is fairly socially liberal and kind of open-minded, all the things you would think about with European liberal values. But yet at the same time, the political system relies on a kind of a social or a societal conservatism, in a sense, where everybody knows the rules. So, government is supposed to be well run. Budgets are supposed to be balanced. We're supposed to have a stable banking system. We don't expect to be as prosperous as the Americans because we're not as greedy as Americans. And so there's all these kind of social conventions that go along with it. But on the whole, the idea of sort of peace, order, and good government is really a thing for, the native-born Canadian population. And in many ways, Justin Trudeau's ideological liberalism, which made sense in in contrast to, say, Donald Trump's, because that's the other big thing in Canada, is that, being Canadian means being not American. And so, we were going to be the contrast to, American terrors on the southern border and all these kind of things. So Canada, it was an opportunity for Justin Trudeau to, turbo play immigration as a solution to maintaining a permanent liberal majority. You just import them. And then it would allow you to, virtue signal on the global scale that, we're the enlightened nation, we're doing immigration right, we're bringing in all of these high value immigrants. The only problem is that you quickly run out of high value immigrants, and then you become addicted to it. So there's all of these systems in place in Canada now, from like the university college systems, there's lawyers, there's welfare programs that are all built around servicing a steady supply of immigrants. So if that dries up because you've run out of people who want to be or capable of being engineers, doctors, lawyers, chemists, pharmacists, these sort of things, dentists, once you've run out of all of those people who want to come to Canada, then you just start basically importing slave labor to work in call centers. And then you have people who are there to run through your universities as degree mills, where there's rampant cheating and so forth. So eventually what happened was it ran amok, so much to the point that, ordinarily liberal little old ladies would be sitting there complaining at at Tim Hortons that, there's just too many immigrants around. And it's now rampant everywhere. Anyone who's not an immigrant is complaining about how many immigrants there are around. And that's kind of when you look at the statistics, like Toronto is 56% non-native born, and that's not even including the numbers like second-generation immigrants. So the numbers are probably higher actually, and more or less the whole population of Toronto has been displaced, and people have kind of noticed that, because all of the people who are on the top 10 for crime and everything else are all part of the immigrant populations. And, growing up in a Canadian culture that's, built largely around immigration, and, I'm a second generation immigrant, is you kind of feel bad because you're grown up to be sort of the welcoming, inclusive, loving country that's tolerant of everybody and all of these differences. And you're thinking to yourself, like, why do I find myself continuously irritated and annoyed at all of these newcomers? And so you find yourself being suspicious, angry, resentful, hateful, and you're going like, this wasn't me 10 years ago. And you realize, no, you know what, the problem isn't me, although, it is now that I have to deal with all this stuff. But it's largely, and this is a thing I think that people forget, it's largely the government that's foisted this upon us and made us feel this way. And so now the Liberal Party is going to pay a huge price for this. And they're going to be decimated in the coming election. But unlike COVID, where there was a true sort of, I don't know whether you want to call it ideology, but a populist party, the People's Party of Canada, managed to almost make a significant wave in the last election, and probably were instrumental in giving Justin Trudeau another round of minority government. But they were just mad and didn't want to vote for the or what used to be progressive, the Conservative Party of Canada, because the Conservative Party of Canada, knuckled under on COVID. And so Maxime Bernier, who former CPC MP who got red pilled, started his own party. And he was really, really good. He was like right there from day one with the trucker protest, and kind of rode that to a fair degree of electoral success. They didn't win any seats, but the percentages were significant enough in many ridings that people kind of took notice. But a lot of that support has ebbed because Canada is the way to describe it is to use a Latin phrase. So Canada is an in toto system, whereas America is an ex parte system. So in America, partly because of the scale of American politics, but it's always traditionally been a politics that's built out of the parts. So everything works from the grassroots up. So you can actually in the US build momentum from the States with a political movement, whereas that doesn't happen in Canada, not typically. So the People's Party of Canada thing was a very much an aberration. And in toto system means that all political dissent has to be expressed from the center, from within the existing structures. And it's a very sort of odd thing for America. If you're an American coming in and looking at Canadian politics, it seems very, very odd. But Canadian politics is really supposed to be non-ideological in a sense that being about peace, order, and good government, the degree to which you can implement ideological. I mean, the idea is that basically everything is supposed to run well. You're supposed to balance the budget. And then there are minor variations on the kind of, things that you would do, like which programs will you cut or not cut, to keep the budget in line, that kind of thing. Varies a little bit from party to party. Like the Conservatives maybe will less cuts on the military, maybe more cuts on something like healthcare transfer payments, that kind of thing. But the federal government has limited power in certain sense. A lot of the power resides in the provinces, and so provincial, local interests really dominate. That's why, in a sense, you can have like the Bloc Québécois that used to be part of the Progressive Conservative Party split off and became basically a Quebec nationalist party. And so you have that thing. The Albertans, after Mulroney split off and created the Reform Party, and then were folded back into the Progressive Conservatives in the new Conservative Party of Canada. So regional interests have always played a large thing. The NDP, which is basically your hardcore leftists, have always been sort of on the outside. And other than maybe winning a provincial premiership, have really not been part of Maine. The closest they've come is being when the Liberals got decimated the last time, they became the official opposition. A lot of the people who used to vote Liberal in protest went and voted NDP, but then gradually, like they did with the Conservatives, kind of drifted back and to the Liberals again once they kind of got their house in order. And you know, everybody, you know, Justin Trudeau was a pretty face, right? So he was the new face, and because Trudeau was somewhat more ideological than previous Liberal party leaders. Many of the folks that were attracted to sort of the ideological left also then drifted back to the Liberal. So,
well, I think
really,
the one thing we can agree on is that Trudeau is definitely retarded.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.